So one of the most asked questions I get as a horary astrologer is some version of, is there a future in this relationship? The question can come in many different forms, but that's usually what it comes down to. The chart that I'm going to be showing you now, will he return and will we be good? Meaning, will he return and will our relationship be better than it was? So in this relationship horary, the background information is that a woman was living with a man and his children in a serious relationship when one day he told her that he needed to move out and get his life together. He told her he didn't want to be in a relationship at all. He just wanted to focus on his job and his kids. This was a shocking surprise to her, and she asked me this question: will he come back and will we be good together? The woman asking is represented by the first house ruler. And because we see Aquarius here, that means that she is represented by Saturn. And this is her thinking side, her personality. And because she's a woman and because it's a relationship horary question, you don't do this with any other kind of horary question. She gets Venus to represent her as a woman, or the part of her that wants a mate. And also because she's the querent, the person asking, the moon also represents her heart or her feeling side. Now, the man she's asking about is the seventh house ruler, and we see Leo here on the cusp, so that means the sun is representing him. Now, often with relationship questions, the seventh house ruler is a different planet besides the sun, like it could be Mercury or Venus or Mars, Jupiter. And if it were, then he would get, like, say, Jupiter to represent him as a thinking, feeling person, and the sun as well to represent him as a man, or the part of him that wants a mate. But in this case, the sun is representing all parts of him. Now, to see if he will come back, we first need to see how his planets are feeling about her planets. So that is the motive. If there's a motive, we need to see if there's a motive for him to return. And then if there is sufficient motive on both people's sides, meaning if there is sufficient motive for both of them to be in a relationship, then we need to see if there will be contact between one of her planets and his planet. But we'll start with how his planet is feeling about hers. Now, in horary astrology, the heart of horary is the table of dignities. Now, I'm not going to explain everything about this in this video, but I will tell you basically how it works for this chart. Okay, the sun, the planet representing him, is at 14 degrees of Scorpio. And we want to see what any planet in the sign of Scorpio feels about Saturn, which is her main planet, representing her as a person and her thinking side, about Venus, her as a woman, and the moon, her feelings or her emotional side. Well, any planet in the sign of Scorpio is ruled by Mars. Mars is not one of her planets. And at 14 degrees, so the way this works is the term part here shows it's kind of like maybe friendship or mild friendship. It can be a little less than friendship. It's a little bit above indifference. Of course, the best would be to see if his planet was ruled by Saturn or Venus or the moon, and it isn't. There's no planets that are exalted in Scorpio. It's a day chart because the sun is above the horizon. And again, we see that, no, he's more interested in Mars, whatever Mars is. And then when we get to term, it starts from 0 to 6 degrees for Mars, and then 6 degrees to 14 degrees for Jupiter, and then 14 degrees to 21 degrees for Venus. Now, since the sun it's 10 minutes past 14 degrees. So he likes her by term, as you can see here. So this means that he likes her as a woman a little bit. And we go to face, and face is definitely indifference. And again, he mostly cares about Mars, whatever that is, up to, that's 10 degrees, and then after 10 degrees, it's the sun. So mostly about himself. But even then, it's just a little bit. But here is the most important thing: detriment and fall. Venus, the planet that represents her as a woman, or women in general, is in detriment in the sign of Scorpio. So this means he either no longer likes her at all as a woman, or, as he said, he doesn't want to be in a relationship with any woman at all. And then fall is the moon in Scorpio. This means that the moon is in fall. It's basically what it sounds like. It's slightly exaggerated, but only slightly. It just means that the moon is very unhappy in the sign of Scorpio. And so when a person's planet is in the sign of Scorpio, it means it doesn't like the moon, it hates the moon, it's disappointed in the moon, it doesn't want to deal with the moon, wants nothing to do with the moon. Okay, so with that in mind, we can see he has no motive to return. He has more pressing issues in his life that he wants to take care of. Now, what's interesting also here is that Venus and the moon are both in Virgo. The sign of Virgo is a loud-voiced sign. Venus in the sign of Virgo, any planet in the sign of Virgo basically doesn't like, well, Venus itself, nor does it like Jupiter. So who or what is Jupiter in this chart? Well, if we count 5 from his house, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Jupiter represents his children. And this makes sense because she had a very difficult time with his children. They didn't treat her very well. He was separated from his wife, their mother, in the process of getting divorced, and they didn't want any other woman in his life. So basically, Jupiter had a lot to do with why they broke up. As you can see, she is disliking Jupiter, and her heart dislikes Jupiter too. And in a loud voice signs, means that whenever they treated her badly, she would say something to him about it, ask him to deal with it, and he just didn't want to do that. Now, the dignity of the sun alone is enough to show that he is not going to return because the sun is in a fixed sign. Scorpio is fixed. It means long-term. If he had been represented by one of the other planets, if his planet had been any other planet besides the sun or the moon, and it was retrograde, that could show him returning. Again, depending on the dignities. But the sun and the moon never go retrograde. However, there is an upcoming aspect or contact between one of her planets and his. It's the moon. The moon is first going to make a trine, easy aspect to Jupiter, which could be maybe, I don't know, she has contact with one of his children first. It could be anything. As we see here, the Saturn, which is her in general, is ruled by Jupiter. Well, Jupiter's in her first house, and again, his children made it very difficult for her to be with him. Because I know, after several months went by, they decided to be friends. That was the agreement, they would be friends, because he wasn't interested in being involved with anyone else. But after that, the moon makes a sextile aspect or contact with the sun. So sextile is easy. It's not a difficult thing. And that's what happened. They decided to be friends, though it still wasn't very easy at all. It didn't work very well. after a couple of months of this, she decided that it just wasn't a tenable situation. So basically, she broke it off. Now, another interesting thing here is that Venus, which represents her as a woman, is at 28 degrees, and it's going to change signs very soon. And when it does, it will go into its own sign of Libra, which means that she will be feeling a lot better about herself as a woman. Also, any planet in the sign of Libra does not like the sun, so that shows her starting to get over him. Now, normally in a relationship chart, when one of the querent planets is on the cusp, the second cusp of the quested, the person they're talking about, it usually means that she still wants him to want her. But in this situation, they had also gone into business with each other, and she lent him a great deal of money. So now she is focused on getting her money back. And that's a different chart. She did ask that question separately. Maybe I'll do that one in the future. But at any rate, here we see that the moon is unhappy with Venus. And that just means a part of her, because she's a woman, and just because when a relationship doesn't work out, you tend to ask yourself, could I have done something differently? Could I have said this and not that? So part of this shows that she is not feeling good about herself as a woman, somehow blaming herself, though she's still mostly unhappy with the kids, but also the money, because any planet in Virgo is unhappy or disappointed in Venus. Basically, the answer to this question is, will he come back and will we be good together? Is no, as is so often the case in relationship horaries. Well, I hope you enjoyed that and you learned something about the practically useful technique of horary astrology. And if you'd like me to do more of these or on a different topic, then please let me know in the comments below. Hit like, of course. And until next time, thank you for watching.